1, 2, 3, 4 Media Bio.
This is the part 2 of the human eye, and just make sure that you watched part 1, before going ahead with this video. Let us discuss all parts of the eye. There you go, this is the internal structure of the eye, and we will label it iris, cornea, lens, aqueous humor, ciliary fibers, retina, vitreous humor, sclera, and finally the optical nerve. All these structures are extremely important, and we will discuss them in detail. And hey, you may get a screenshot of this picture. Let us start from iris. The iris is the colored ring around the pupil. The iris has a sphincter muscle, which allows it to expand or contract, making the pupil larger or smaller. This is important for controlling the amount of light our eyes receive. Look into the picture. Yeah, that blue-colored ring around the pupil is the iris. Sclera. It is the white part of the eye that surrounds the iris and pupil. It acts as a tough, protective membrane for the eyeball. Only the outer part of the sclera is white, the interior of the membrane is brown, and wraps around the clear inner chambers of the eye, which allow light to pass through. Just see the picture, that white portion is the sclera. Pupil. It lets the light from the outside to enter the eye. Since most of the light entering the eyes does not escape, the pupil appears black. In dim light, the pupil expands to allow more light to enter the eyes. Whereas in bright light, the pupil contracts, to prevent too much of light to enter the eyes. Cornea. This layer of transparent tissue sits on top of the iris and pupil. It helps to focus light to produce a clear image on the retina, and acts as an additional protective layer for the eye. It has got a lot of nerves running through it, so that any kind of injury on it can be detected by the brain ASAP. Because the cornea has almost no blood vessels in it, light can pass easily through it, as the blood vessels wouldn't get in the way of light. See that transparent layer on front of the eyes? It is almost invisible, and that's what is the cornea. Lens. Well, this is one of the most interesting structure. The lens of the eye lies just behind the pupil. It is a convex lens. It is made of an elastic capsule, containing proteins and water, which refract light at a constant rate, just like the lenses used in glasses or spectacles. The softness of its outer layers allow the lens to change shape when pushed or pulled by the surrounding ciliary muscles, making it an adjustable lens that can change the way it focuses light, depending on how close or far away an object is. So the lens is really important. There you go, that's a lens. And hey, that's what we tell about the shape of a convex lens. Don't worry, we will more about it in the later videos. Ciliary muscles. The ciliary body is a circular structure that is an extension of the iris. It is the colored part of the eye. The ciliary body produces the fluid in the eye, called aqueous humor. It helps the lens to change its size and shape according to the amount of outside light. Now that's the ciliary fibers, or the ciliary muscles, whatever you wanna say. Aqueous humor. It is a fluid, which is present in between the cornea and the iris. It is transparent and watery in nature. It provides nutrition to the eye, as well as maintains the eye in a pressurized state. That is aqueous humor, which is a watery substance. Next, vitreous humor. The vitreous humor is a thick, gelatinous fluid that fills most of the eyeball. Like the aqueous humor, it refracts light at a constant rate, but unlike the aqueous humor, it is thick and jelly-like. The jelly-like thickness of the vitreous humor helps the eye to retain its round shape. The precise maintenance of this shape is essential for vision, because light is focused by the cornea and lens, with the intent of hitting the retina a set distance away. If the retina moves closer or further to the lens due to changes in eye shape, the light will not be properly focused when it reaches the retina. As a result, the person will not be able to see properly. Hey, more about retina is what we gonna learn next. But before that, just have a look at the vitreous humor. Yep, it fills most of the eye. There you go, retina. The retina is a light-sensitive layer of tissue that covers the back of the inner eyeball. It contains light-sensitive cells, which can determine light, dark, and color, to assemble images, getting acquired from outside world. The retina then converts that color information into neural information, and sends it to the brain for processing. The retina contains two major types of light receptors, or cells, the cone cells, and rod cells. The cone cells helps us to identify different colors present in the image, whereas rod cells tells us how much light is coming at us. Okay, these two light receptors, cone cells, and rod cells, are highly important. That yellow portion in the eye is actually a kind of a screen, where the image from the outside world gets projected, and that's the retina. The last structure in the eye is the optic nerve. The optic nerve is a bundle of neural fibers that travel from the retina to the brain. Each optic nerve encodes the image data recorded by the retina in the form of neural signals that can be read by the brain. This is how we're able to identify faces and other objects in our environment. Interestingly, although the eyes are at the front of the head, the brain's processing of visual signals occurs at the occipital lobe in the back of the head. This means that the optic nerve must travel back into the brain through special channels. So that blue nerve is the optic nerve. Hey, you know what? If some damage occurs in this optic nerve, you will become blind. Let's study about chambers of the eye. So our eyes has got two chambers, the anterior chamber and the posterior chamber. Wanna know their exact location? Let's dig in deeper. There are two fluid-filled areas in the eye, known as the anterior and posterior chambers. The anterior chamber is located between the cornea and the iris, and the posterior chamber between the iris and ciliary processes. I repeat, the anterior chamber is located between the cornea and the iris, and the posterior chamber between the iris and ciliary processes. The chambers are filled with aqueous humor. The aqueous humor is produced constantly, and drains via the trabecular meshwork, an area of tissue at the base of the cornea, near the anterior chamber. If the drainage of aqueous humor is obstructed, a condition known as glaucoma can result. It is a condition of increased pressure within the eyeball, causing gradual loss of sight, blindness. This is not good. Let us look into their functions. Anterior chamber. Here the aqueous humor helps the eye to form an image by refracting light at a constant rate. The aqueous humor is made from blood plasma, using a special filtering process that removes proteins and other impurities that may cloud vision. Now posterior chamber. The posterior chamber sits between the iris and the lens, which completes the job of focusing light onto the retina. Layers of eye. There are 3 layers of eye. Outermost layer, it is composed of cornea and sclera. Middle layer, it is composed of ciliary body and iris. And the inner layer, it is composed of retina and optical nerve. So we end up the part 2 of the human eye series. How was it? Comment down below. And hey, just subscribe to the channel 1234 Media Bio to see more such videos through your eyes.